How are you today? You don't need to answer, just feel. Does the body feel heavy? Is there still a bit of morning in you? Still a bit of a yawn in you? In which case, indulge in it if you need to. Take your yawns. We can't see you. We've got our eyes closed. Is there any particular niggle there? Has it been there for a while or is it new today? And if you hear the word joy or being, are there any resonances for you or any resistance? Oh, I don't want to be happy. I'm shy of expressing myself. What goes through your mind? Does it excite you? Does it intrigue you? Do you already feel a bubbling? Or is that just your morning coffee? Aha. And then allow the eyes with a lowish gaze initially to slowly open. And just take in what's in front of you on the floor or whatever surface is immediately in front of you, the coffee table or whatever. Feel the light and shade, or sense the light and shade, or any objects, even the space around the objects in the space. Move your eyes somewhere else, just take in something else. As you see something, have you got an opinion about it? Is it possible to see something without immediately jumping into a label? Do you immediately say, oh, sofa, or whatever it is? And you almost just see the idea of it or your memory of it. Or can you see it afresh? Maybe the light, the shade. You might notice something about it you haven't noticed before. Change the angle of your gaze, perhaps look up. Again, just come to a stillish point with your gaze. Perhaps look at something neutral or the floor and soften the gaze so that's not your primary sense. And just let yourself listen. Is there ambient noise around you? Or is there silence or something in between? Quite what that is, I don't know. Can you simply listen or are you latching onto sound? Do you identify it as, oh, that's your flatmate, or oh, that's the cat, or that's an aeroplane? Can it simply play through your awareness without you latching onto it? Can you feel the rising of a particular sound there in your awareness and perhaps it fading away? Is it constant? How sensitive this morning is your sense of smell? Have you scenting something, or if you have the scent of something in your awareness, you may immediately know what it is. I can smell coffee, several empty coffee cups by the sink, quite a strong aroma. So I've identified it. There's other smells around. These flowers probably smell if I were to pay attention. And is there any residual taste in your mouth? Your toothpaste or your coffee? Seems to be on a theme this morning. Or your breakfast. Do you notice if you're salivating or the mouth is dry? So every moment of the day, and indeed at this very moment, eyes can be seeing, ears are hearing, nose is smelling, tongue is poised to taste, and your body, cum nails, is feeling. So all this sensing is flowing to the mind in separate streams, probably around 5 separate streams. And the mind's at work. It's busily tending each stream, alert for stimulation that might require a response. Can you just sit, which you've done a little, and monitor that activity? And then question yourself, which stream is presenting itself most strongly? So the visual, the audio, the smelling, the tasting, and so on. Is it the tactile sensation of your clothing on your skin, or the air on your skin, or the feeling of your bum on your seat or your cushion? And as you watch, just notice if thoughts are interacting with the information coming from the senses, or are thoughts dominating? So just sit quietly with your senses and see what's going on. And mind is a sense too in these teachings. Okay. And then as practitioners in this strange world of Kunle, we're very used to feeling the body. But if you're perceptive, you'll notice the language teachers use, or indeed comes from the text, almost mixes up the senses a little in feeling. So we're encouraged to listen to the body or taste our experience. So the language kind of seeks between the senses. And what appears in joy of being again and again is this richness of sensory language. So we're going to sit in the 7 gestures, and I'm going to kind of experiment with bringing some of that miasma of language together. So you all know the 7 gestures. We're going to pretend we don't know them quite so well, so that we experience them afresh. So yes, the base of the body settling, whether you're on a chair or on a cushion on the floor. But can you find an ease to the sitting? You must let your sit bones place and then lower, almost as if you were putting a baby down. Kind of lay it down gently and then slowly release the hands and slide them away. So that quietness and settling of laying a baby down to sleep, for those of you who ever have, I can imagine it if you haven't. That kind of lightness, as if you lay the underside of the body down onto the cushion or onto the chair seat. So there's a lightness and a grace to it. So the way the body touches the floor, you softly allow yourself to settle. Rather than the body being heavy-handed here, of course it's got weight, of course gravity is involved. But can we meet the earth sensitively? And then as if you were putting your ear to a door to listen, or even the kind of comic image of holding a glass and listening through the glass to the wall, listening to your neighbours or something. Can you let the sit bones almost listen to the movement of the earth beneath you? What Terry Pratchett calls the grinding cogs of the earth's rotation. There you go. Popular culture as well. And then that second gesture of the spine rising. Can you imagine the spine perking up a little bit, like the antenna of an insect who senses something? It suddenly comes to life. Or the posture like a cat who suddenly sensed something. So the spine has a potential in it. So we want to move the body with a very much a felt sense, not anatomical placement. There's a poise in it. Poise implies you might go somewhere. It's a readiness, if you like. And yes, the shoulders can relax. And again, there's no heavy-handed forcing of the shoulders down. It's just a gradual, patient softening. And the hands can listen to the legs. The legs can feel the palms or taste the palms. And as the poise of the head So again, there's a gentle patient release at the hairline at the back, kind of occiput at the base of the skull. But we can be more skillful than that. So if you allow that feeling of the rising spine or the sensitive opening spine rising into the cranial base, we get access to the gesture of the mouth, which, as you know, in these practices is subtly open. Lips are a little apart. Can you feel the salivation, the potential to taste in the mouth? Again, it's an aliveness, as if you're about to sample something that really looks delicious. You're in the poshest of restaurants with the finest of chefs, and you're anticipating what's about to be laid in front of you by the frock-coated waiter or waitress. Sense the roof of the mouth, and quietly, much as you laid the pelvis down, can you allow the tongue just to meet, kind of flat of the tongue, just to almost meet the roof of the mouth? Allow the tongue tip to settle just behind the top teeth on the alveolar ridge, the front of the mouth, just above the top teeth. It can almost curl back. And then if you can feel the width at the back and top of the mouth, it's kind of the width that begins when you yawn. That kind of feeling of slightly opening across the back of the neck. The breath then, of course, can flow through both nose and mouth. Can you almost listen to the breath? Not that you need to make it noisy. It's just that receptive quality as the breath comes and goes. As it touches the nose, as it touches the lips and mouth. Now, it's quite possible that all this going on and you interpreting instruction, there's a little bit of tension around the eyes or the forehead. You let that slacken. And enjoy being the eyes softly lift, so the gaze is no longer cast down quite so much. If you look almost to the horizon line, but imagine that the gaze is coming from the back of the head, through the head, rather than looking from the surface of the eye. And allow the corners of the eyes, the kind of peripheral awareness, to just broaden a little. It's the first stage. It's kind of a widescreen shot, panoramic shot. So you're not looking at anything in particular. The eyes are receptive of the space and the light, but they're not necessarily focused. You can choose to, and then relax again. You almost imagine you're listening with the eyes. And if you have trouble visualizing that sense of looking from behind yourself forwards. And imagine yourself in the back seat of the car, a car, and looking out of the windscreen. So you're not peering forwards like the driver. You're more relaxed in the back seat. So be in the back seat of your vision looking forwards. Now let all those senses be open. Those 5 streams, as the text calls them. The hearing, the looking, the potential and the sense of smell, the tasting of the world, the mouth sensitive, and the felt sense of the body, or the felt sense of the body and the breath. Now also be open to the space around you. There's a sense of the body in space. So the feeling's light, calm, and open. And then give the whole thing a kind of pleasurable juiciness. Let the way you experience yourself not be fixed. Let it be lubricated freely. You may even find there are subtle shifts and possibly even a soft opening and growing. So your coom, your sense of yourself can widen into the space around you. Everything receptive, everything alive. Can you imagine every fibre of the body is experiencing all 5 senses? Every cell is listening, is looking, is hearing, feeling, and so on. Good. Now, obviously, we can't live 100% alert like this all the time, but can you carry a sense of it or the potential of it with you as you move?